Well, it was a horrendous trip over to Adelaide for Hawthorn, wasn't it?
It was, but I thought the first quarter was just about the most beautiful football you could see a football side play. This is Jack Lukosius, a couple of his highlights first. He kicked the 5 goals and he's done it 3 times this year, Jack Lukosius, so he's become a very good player for them. And close to
2 weeks in a row with 5, Brownie.
Yeah, up there. He loves playing up there. He was a laconic sort of half-back, kicking out. I thought his talents were a little bit wasted up there, but then moving forward, he's been brilliant.
Take 2. Hawthorn headed over to Adelaide. It was a horrendous day out there.
Yes, it certainly was. And I thought it was the most beautiful quarter of football that anybody has played this year. The ball movement of Port Adelaide yesterday, it was a beautiful day, 24 degrees, but they were slick. They were efficient around the football. They were ravenous at the contest, and they just got the ball out to really good positions. The Hawks couldn't keep up. They slammed on all these goals in the first quarter. Finlayson kicked 4 of those. The Hawks had no answer, and this was just, it's been building, Port Adelaide. It has been building for one of these quarters, and they're going to blow some sides away like they did. He's pumped that 70 metres into the tree, Lukosius, but not Lukosius. He's on my mind at the moment.
Can we see some more of Lukosius, please? Nathan wants to see more of Jack
Someone
Lukosius.
walked away with a Sharon because he kicked it out of the stadium. But you're right, ravenous. It was a good word you used, Brownie.
And beautiful.
And beautiful.
The offensive stuff was pure, and it was great to watch. But
beautiful.
I can guarantee you that Ken Hinkley would be showing the defensive stuff. This is the big area of improvement from Port Adelaide. And let's put some focus on Sam Powell-Pepper. He's the spiritual on-field leader at the moment with what he is doing. Comes from half forward there, playing as a half forward. Wins the footy here, but ineffective disposal. But watch him go. This is the ravenous stuff that Brownie's talking about, and the gang tackling. So they kicked 5 goals off turnover in the first quarter. Now, Horne-Francis, my man, was criticised so heavily for his lack of defensive chasing in the first 3 weeks of the season. So this is a big advancement in his game. You've got to give him credit for that and the improvement in that to turn the footy over. Newcombe gives away a free kick there because he's frustrated. Watch Marshall back in the side. That effort there, the chase, the tackle, the harassing. So we can all talk about Port Adelaide's offensive stuff, which was great, but it's this. And Powell-Pepper, watch, where is he? Bang, there he is, another turnover. And then I want to highlight Dan Houston as well. So this is the wing position. This is Rory Lobb, and why you're saying the wing is so important. The ball's there. Houston slides back as the winger, comes off his opponent and helps out in a one-on-one against the red-hot Mitch Lewis and McKenzie, who's outsized, and takes an intercept mark. So defensively, Port Adelaide were on right from the start yesterday.
Nice work, Kano. It wasn't all bad news for the Hawks. It's Luke Bruce. He kicked 500 goals yesterday, and he's been one of my favourite players for a long time. He is a pure footballer.
That's a big
Luke
day.
Bruce. 500 goals for his career. He kicked his 500th, Tony. 63rd all-time on the all-time list now for Luke Bruce, and he plays in the hardest position on the field. Half forward. He's always got a close checking player to go with him because he's so dangerous. He doesn't get the midfield minutes, so every one of these 500 goals, he's had someone there that he had to beat. His work above his head is just as good. His work along the ground, and he finishes elite. We saw him kick the winner last week as well.
And that's where he does sit now, Brownie, on where that goal tally takes him. I think it's some all-time greats, and he's going to probably pass all of those potentially even this year to move even further up the ranks.
I mean, I don't want to say understated because that might be deemed, it's a little insulting, but he has sort of been rather understated when it comes to
a smarter footballer,
star.
as he's been too. And I know Damien had to move on, but just on the Hawks, they're young, but you don't concede 16 goals and a half. So we've all been excited the last 2 weeks about you. But Sam Mitchell, they take on the Brisbane Lions at the MCG. The next game, you can't be conceding that many. That's what Brisbane will do to them. And so the offence is great, but you've got to defend better.
And don't give me we won the second half.
Yeah.
Who cares that you won the second half? You weren't there, you didn't show up in the first half. The same happened against Melbourne. They get smashed in the first half, have a really good third quarter. Oh, great, Hawthorn won the third quarter. Who cares if you won the third quarter? The game was over 15 minutes into that game.
9 wins on the trot now for Port Adelaide, and as we've known, the narrative is that August is the start time for negotiations between Ken Hinkley and David Koch, the chairperson of the Port Adelaide Footy Club. Kochie's got a good take on this right now.
I hope Ken is a 20-year coach for Port Adelaide. It's not just me making the decision, it's Ken as well, and that's why we've decided to keep any discussion until the end of the year.
It's worked beautifully simply that plan. And while he's now commenting on about it being an extension for nearly double the time he's already had, it's still not moving away from the August being the right time frame.
But is he just dancing around it there, though?
Yeah,
I hope
he's dancing around it.
Because he could make him a 20-year coach now if he wanted
Today.
to.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
And Ken, he says, Ken would sign tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
If there was a 3-year contract on the table for Ken Hinkley, I would assume he signs that tomorrow. So it's a big statement to make. Koshy, I don't think he needed to go there. You just say, look, our timeline is August. We're sticking to the August timeline. We'll make a decision then.
Damo, just before we move on from Hawthorn, explosive developments in the racism scandal on Friday night.
Yeah, with a statement made by 4 families attached to the situation, and this is the latest stage of it. And then you then had a rebuttal of sorts issued by Jason Burt yesterday. Jason Burt being one of the 3 people who have had the allegations made against them, Chris Fagan and Alistair Clarkson being the other 2. I mean, you can see the nature of those comments, the reference there to the Human Rights Commission. Look, it has been lodged. How that plays out, it's not going to happen quickly. And as we've known for some time, once it hits the Human Rights Commission, it does mean it's effectively under the federal court system of Australia. And that means that every claim will be able to be counter-claimed throughout the whole process. And that is still going to be some time away. And again, be more layers of ugliness around the whole situation.
Yeah, and the lawyers continue to win
They
out
do.
as a result.
And Sam Mitchell hasn't spoken in depth about it during the whole saga. Obviously a player at the time of the investigation by the Hawthorn Footy Club, and spoke briefly about the effect it's having on the club last night.
The whole ordeal and just everyone involved in it, you just have to feel for everyone involved in the way that it's played out.
All right, so Sam Mitchell speaking at the end of the... I mean, could it actually have an impact? I mean, we talk about that horrendous performance yesterday, the fact that, the media's down the club all the time now.
Didn't he say the day before, TJ, that it hasn't filtered down to the players?
Well, you just wonder, based on that performance yesterday, whether or not they are sort of feeling...
The CEO's obviously stood down as part of the, that being a reason. In fact, a large part, I would suggest. So it would be having effect on day-to-day operations at this stage.